Thank you, everybody, and thank you for those kind words. It was very nice. I would say that I feel like I've received something equally in return because I've been exposed to this hobby. I gotta tell you, it's probably one of the most exciting things I've been involved in quite a while. I will say that when Jamie first asked me to do this, I'm like, there is no way I'm going to get up in a room in front of all these subject matter experts and talk about ham radio. So just a couple of housekeeping rules before we get started. Front door is right there. So if you start laughing, just or if your bladder can't hold the laughter, the bathroom's right there. The other thing is do not, under any circumstances, ask me anything technical. All right, because if you do, I'm going to look to Jamie to answer the question. All right. This is not at all anything to do with the technology that surrounds ham radio. This is just about my journey, and my journey is because of frankly, because of several people in this room. So I'm actually addicted. So I first got my technician license in December of 23, so all that long ago. Upgraded to general in January of 24. And my very first POTA activation was this January. I would listen, I would hunt. It was really enjoying doing a lot of HF. And then one day I just decided I was going to go out and give it a shot. So the year I first started with my very first HF rig was this. Well, actually, the full rig, the radio in a box or the shack in a box was the 706, which I still have, and I'm using it now because I did upgrade to a brand new 891 in February. But I had a problem with it, and it's currently at Yasu getting repaired. So it doesn't appear to be anything that I did. However, I will say that after explaining to Jamie some of the things I was actually doing with my radio, it might have been something I did, but I'm not really. But typically, my rig is my 891, and I have two ham sticks that I use, either a 20 meter or a 40 meter, and that's pretty much it. I just plug my radio into my battery. I put my magnet on top of my car, and I either connect either to 20 or 40, and that's what I do. I don't typically worry about SWR. I just start playing radio, and I know that you're probably gonna squirm hearing that, but I just play and I just learn. The logging app, which I'm going to be talking a little bit about later, because I talked about it with Jamie. He really wasn't familiar with it, but I started using hammers, but I'm now currently using Ham 2K Polo. I love it. It is an absolutely fantastic app, and as a new POTA activator, I have found that it's really been a crutch for me as well. But I absolutely love that app. And interestingly enough, it's not just for POTA. There's actually a module in there that you can use for field day as well, if you choose to activate it. I was showing that recently. So since January 1st, I've hunted 29 parks in 3 different states. I'm going to put my glasses on. I've got 3 kilo awards, one for the Erie Canal Way National Heritage Area. And if you didn't know, we're actually in that particular POTA right now. I'm sure many of you know that.
Do y'all know what a kilo award is? It's 1,000 contacts each. 1 kilo award is about 1,000 contacts. You got 3 of them.
What I call my home park is the Finger Lake National Forest. So I live in Hector, and my property adjoins the National Forest, but I don't cheat. I actually either go into the National Forest, like through the back of my property, but I actually go up off of Picnic Area Road. That's why I like it. But I've actually got another site over on Satterley Hill that gives me a 3-fer with not only Erie Canal Way, but Finger Lakes and also the North County Trail. There's a specific spot that if you park, you get a 3-fer. I've gotten 3 of the 5 park Rogan Awards, which I really enjoy. I guess it's doing 5 parks in one UTC day. And then I've gotten the one Rover Award, the Rhino Award for 10 parks in one UTC day. And I will tell you that when I did the 10, my wife was with me for half of them. She'll never become a ham radio operator, but she is most certainly interested in the hobby, and she's been really supportive of me. She's actually fantastic. Yeah, she's great. So since January 1st, I've had 152 activations out of 154 attempts with over 4,395 QSOs on 20 meters. You can see the 1,600 on 40 meters. I was fortunate enough to get work all states as a hunter this year as well. Most of my hunting has been done this year as well, because I do a lot of hunting doing park to parks. And for those that know about POTA, you do get hunter credit if you're doing a park to park. and that includes DC. Rhode Island was the standout. I had such a hard time getting Rhode Island, but I finally got it. It was a big day, and I hunted 12 entities, so pretty much anything in the United States, and then 11 additional entities outside of the continental United States. And if you notice on there, I got Alaska with that's supposed to be a 20-meter ham stick. I'm going to show you that, but I was thrilled. I was having a really bad day, and I was at Robert Treatment, and I couldn't spot myself. I was having a hard time using I had no internet signal, and I got New Mexico and I got Alaska. I got Alaska on a park to park, and I don't know how the heck I did it, because I know I'm not lying, so he must be lying. So I can tell you that, because I don't know how I did it, but I've as far as France and Venezuela, so I've been pretty excited about some of my DX contacts. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm using Ham 2K Polo. I love this app. Again, something I was telling Jamie, they have a little module in there for field day. I'm not sure if it would be something that this group would be interested in, but I love it. I started off at hammers, and I put this screenshot up there because if you notice, like, one of the big differences between hammers and polo is that when you bring up polo, you get the numbers there too, so you don't have to switch out of your keyboard, which I personally like. So I log in real time. And I like that because there's some checks and balances, obviously, because you can get a call sign wrong. And I usually identify the person by name once I connect with them. But also by doing that, if they're also using Polo and they've put their park in, it populates the park automatically once you put the call sign in, which I found to be really nice. So I have this, for me, it's easier, it's more intuitive. I like the way it populates the park, because again, if you use the call sign, and the self-spotting appears to be more reliable than hammers for me, because there's been times I've self-spotted on hammers and it doesn't seem to show up on the actual Polo website. Whereas I notice when I do Polo, it seems like it's almost instantaneous. I'm not sure why that is, but that's just been my experience. So what I like about Polo, this is actually a screenshot of how I start off my POTA activation with Polo. So the very first thing I do is I go in, I set my grid. And then I'm also in the worldwide flora fauna. I'm enjoying that as well. I've gotten a few awards through them as well. But typically what you do is you go up, once you set your grid square, you go up to Parks on here, and you click, and it would pretty much put you into your park. So then you can just click on it and it saves it. And then I do the same thing for worldwide flora fauna. Not all POTA parks are worldwide flora fauna parks as well, and vice versa. But it's a nice way of just double checking. And this particular day, you can see I was at Robert Treatment, and you can see my Alaska contact up there on a park to park. So I was pretty thrilled about that. So once you set it, that's what the screen looks like. I just put in one of the logs that I did so you could see it. But then the other thing I wanted to point out that I really liked about Polo is the spotting page. I know Hammers does this, but again, just a little bit more intuitive. But I pulled this one up specifically because you can see this person is spotted on both on POTA and worldwide flora fauna. So when you click on that, and once you have a confirmed contact, it will populate both. So at the very end, it's easy to upload your logs to both sites. So again, this is just an example of what I did. Was I highlighted that one top call sign. If you click on that, you can see it. It just populates that information right down here. So James's information is put in there. There's nothing else to do. Obviously, then making sure you document your signal report properly. But outside of that, you're done. You could see the park that Robert's in comes up. I don't have to type any of that in. I don't have to type his frequency in. I don't have to do anything. All I have to do is hit the call sign right. And there's a few exceptions where that doesn't work quite that way, but that's typically how it works. And at the very end, this is what you go into your operation data screen, and you can see it's got the worldwide flora fauna ready to go. It's got the two parks because I happen to be a twofer. And then I can just go into POTA, upload my two different POTA logs, and I have to email my worldwide flora fauna. Anybody in here do worldwide flora fauna? So what I learned recently is that POTA actually came out of worldwide flora fauna back around 2017. There was a disagreement between some leaders in both organizations, so POTA split off, and it's probably become really, but worldwide flora fauna has been around a lot longer. And I enjoy that, but those logs you have to email to a rep from worldwide flora fauna. So, and these are just some examples of some of the contacts I've had. Again, this is just with my 891 and my 20-meter hand stick, sometimes my 40-meter ham stick, and that's it. I don't do anything else. And sometimes I'll tell you, Jamie, like my SWR was a bit high today, but sometimes it's over 3. I don't know what to tell you.
Radio's red hot, but he's talking to him.
That's what I think. That's kind of good about being new. You can be new and naive and a little bit stupid, but that's it. Now I'm using my 706 while my 891 is being repaired. And the issue with my 891, I called technical support. I bought an FC50 tuner to pair it to my 891, and I couldn't connect the tuner to the radio. It wouldn't. And the way it was explained to me by the technical support is that particular tuner, when you set it in your 891, it actually has to have a handshake between the tuner and the radio in order to work. I was able to get it to work on the ATOS 128, but I don't have it, but I could set it. And I used my LDG tuner, and I was able to set it with that without an issue. So he says there's a fuse in the radio that actually sends power through that port to the tuner, and he thinks that was bad. And probably like that when I got it, I just didn't know because I never had a need to it. But now that I'm using my 706, I'm not screwing around with the SWR, so I am using my tuner because I love my 706. I just love it, and it's a great backup radio. So I'm enjoying it. So for those that are interested in POTA and enjoy doing this activity, there is a new park in the Watkins Glen. So Catherine Valley State Trail goes from Horsehead all the way to Seneca Lake. And it was one up on POTA on May 25th, and some guy activated it on May 25th. I don't know who that is, but he did.
They sent him a private email saying your park is on the air.
Yeah, I recommended a park. And I'm like, I get done. The first text I made was to Jamie going, I can't believe I got a first park. But for those that are interested and like to do with 2 furs and 3 furs, if you go to Lafayette Park in Watkins Glen, right where the Catherine Trail and the Finger Lakes Trail come together at that point. The Finger Lakes Trail is part of the North Country Trail. And so you have the Catherine Valley State Trail. You have what would be the North Country Trail. And then, of course, you've got the Erie Canalway. So that makes it the 3 first. So I had to double check that before I came in here tonight to talk about it, but it's confirmed. So if you go into Lafayette Park, you'll be within the rules of, or that you'll be within 100 feet of the trail. Yeah, it's right in Watkins Glen. You can't miss it because it's beyond if you're going from this direction past Walmart, and then if you're going towards the main street of Watkins Glen, it sits there on your left, and they actually have these 2 huge concrete walls. One says Catherine Valley State Trail. The other one says Finger Lakes Trail. But that section of the Finger Lakes Trail is part of the North County Trail, the North Country Trail. So that's why so the Finger Lakes. Finger Lakes Trail is not a POTA trail, right? It's not a POTA location, but North Country is. And because it's right there, it joins together. That's why it's the 3 first. So anyway, you guys were really good. So what I want to say is this, you could see when I became a ham operator, and that was in December of 23, when I got my tech license and I got my general in February, but that's really because of the folks that I met on the races team, like Ellie and Janie, absolutely inspired me to do it. And I'm not divorced yet. But she spent a lot of money, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. But I absolutely love this hobby, and I love what you offer our community, not just as a club, but also as a races team. I think we're very blessed to have the team that we have, and I just look at how full this room is and all the people that are on the Zoom call right now. It was very humbling to be up here. I feel privileged, and I'm glad you didn't ask me anything technical because I would have just shaming answer. But thank you very much for listening about my POTA journey. And I spend more time doing POTA than I spend in my shack. I bought an FTDX10 back in December, and I don't use it very often because most evenings I'm out doing POTA. And my goal is obviously to get 30 parks now, but the weather has just been so crummy that but I've done a lot of the parks around here. So, but I enjoy it. And in August, I'm going to Prince Edward's Island, and I don't know if anybody's ever watched Out and About on YouTube. Victor Ecker 9 Charlie Foxtrot Stewart. He lives in New Brunswick, Canada, and I've been communicating with him. So there's a really good chance that him and I are going to connect when I go to Prince Edward's Island because he's activated there in Nova Scotia. He's got a great channel. It's a small channel, but it's a great channel. I've learned a lot from him. He's actually one that exposed me to worldwide flora fauna. But it's kind of neat that you could have somebody that you admire on YouTube and you can just exchange emails. And then next thing you know, they want to meet with you when you go to visit. But my game plan, and I'm actually planning my route, is to try to get all the New England states as an activator in August, and of course, Prince Edward's Island, and maybe Nova Scotia if I.
It's
Yeah,
over,
really.
isn't it?
Yeah, so, but anyway, thank you very much. Yeah, but it was fun. It was fun to be here tonight, just kind of share my journey and, not to try to fool you to think I'm something I'm not, but it's just really. I think for me, like POTA, I think about like emergency comms. I think it's done a lot to help build that skill set because, you're obviously working, not inside your shack and there's been times I've gone out and you could see there was 2 activations I couldn't get, and that was really frustrating to me. The first one was an absolute busted my ego, quite frankly, because I was doing pretty well. But obviously the bands haven't been great lately, but I still go out, try it, and try to get my 10 because you need 10 for POTA, but you need 44 for worldwide flora fauna, but it's cumulative, so you don't have to get them all in one day. But I really enjoy doing that too, and just being part of that network of great people. And the other thing I've learned, and again, if you're into POTA, Stuart taught me this from Victor Echo 9 Charlie Foxtrot. If you find a POTA site, check to see if it's a worldwide flora fauna site because you have a better chance of getting DXs because you'll actually you'll spot on their website and you'll get people. And I think that's why I get some of the DXs that I get. I don't think they're finding me on POTA. I think they're finding me on worldwide flora fauna. So thank you very much. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Ask a question to the group. How many people here do POTA and what logging software do they use? I'm just curious. You do it?
Yeah, I like M2K Polo. It also has really good satellite support, but I just use AC log when I'm out.
Okay.
Anybody else?
I use AC log also.
I just started playing with Parks on the Air this summer, and I'm using M2K Polo as well.
I forgot to mention, I wanted to show it while I was still up, but so something that you can do is like, if I was to go out with multiple operators, when you set up your Polo, you can actually put it so you can have all 3 operators on one. So when I acknowledge somebody, when I actually log them, it comes into 3 separate entries. I don't have to log in all 3 people. You have to put in the signal report individually. I think that's appropriate, but you don't have to go in there and do an entry for each person. You can actually put a comma and you can either add their call sign, or if they set it up in Polo, like if I were to go out and work with somebody in this room, we could have 4 or 5 operators and we could all be on that same line. Somebody acknowledges us. And then once you hit enter, it actually gives you 5 or 4 separate entries. You don't have to duplicate anything. So which is a great, yeah.
That's miserable with N3FJP.
Yeah,
Even doing like a double or a park to park with 2 operators, that's miserable.
And if you have a person that did it, maybe when they spotted themselves in a spot, like if they were doing a 3-fer, if they give you a second park number, the difference between hammers and Polo is that the US automatically self-populates, so you don't have to do that, which is a big plus. But then you could put a comma and you just keep adding parks too. You don't have to do a separate entry. And for those that use Polo know what I mean. It's just, it's more intuitive. So.
Are there any interactive map software so you can tell where you are versus some of the POTA sites?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, POTA offers that, but there's also, I'm trying to remember, it's POTAsomething.com, and it logs like like the parks that you've done to, it's a different color. But when you go into POTA website and you hit your location, it will tell you the parks around you.
Okay.
So I find that real helpful, especially when traveling, because I can just quickly bring it up and see if there's a POTA location. I was in New Jersey a few weeks ago and I did something called the Round Valley Reservoir. And I was staying at a friend's house. I brought it. I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't know it was a POTA site. And I brought it up. It was like 15 minutes for me. So I went and activated it just because it was so close. So.
It's a neat thing to be the first person to activate a park because his name is going to be on that park forever. Like when you go to the POTA page, his name is the first activator on that POTA page forever. That's pretty cool.
So his name is Jim. He's our New York map representative for New York. I wrote him on a Saturday. Well, it was the 25th. So it was Memorial Day weekend. So that would have been Saturday. I emailed him early in the morning and he got back to me about an hour later saying he really didn't have any internet, that he wouldn't be able to look at it. And then around 6 o'clock at night, I got an email saying that That is up and good luck. I was actually on my way to a Memorial Day picnic. And I said to my wife, we're going to this park. There's no way I'm losing out on this. And we did, we went down and I found a spot in a Montour Falls that I could activate during the trail. It's the first spot I found, there was no internet signal and I really wanted to make sure I could, but she did, she sat there patiently and it was horrible. It was horrible. Really appreciate everybody's generosity and kindness and willing to teach me. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.